Hey crafters, and welcome to Tulip's DIY Treasures. I'm your host Corinne, and today we are going to talk about how to use the slice function in the Cricut Design Space. So first things first, we want to start in our Cricut Design Space. If you haven't already created an account, you'll go ahead and create one here. I'm already logged in, so as you can see, it has my information up at the top. And in the top right hand corner, I'm going to go to my projects. This is where I have some projects that I've been working on in the past. All your projects will be listed here. You can organize them by collections. I just recently started my first collection with tumblers. So anything related to my tumblers will go under that collection. Just to help keep things organized. I'm in the process of getting all this reorganized. But we are going to go ahead and start a new project. So you can do that over on the left hand side on your bar. The very first one with the plus sign is going to be new. Once you're in here, if you already have images that you have uploaded, this is where you would pull those images from. So I'm going to go ahead and pull some images I already have uploaded. For this one, I'm going to make a unicorn poppet design. So I'm going to find my little unicorn outline, and I will have a separate video on how to upload images from Google to create these backgrounds. But this is one I already created so that I don't have to necessarily pay for different images. I just get them for free looking for certain things on Google. So I'm going to go ahead and select my unicorn, and on the bottom right hand side, you'll see the Add to Canvas button. So obviously once you're ready to cut, you're going to change the sizing and things like that. I usually like to start with it bigger when I'm working on smaller things, just so that I have more room to play with, and then I'll shrink it down to the actual size. But this specific video, we're going to focus on using the slicing tool. You can only ever slice 2 layers at a time. So this poppet icon is actually going to be multiple layers. So it is something that it does take a little bit of time if you're doing it by hand. I'll show you an easy version here in just a couple minutes as well. But I'm going to be using 2 different shapes to slice through this to create it to look like a poppet. So the first one's going to be the circle. And then I'm also going to go back and get my equal sign. This just allows me to have the lines to create that poppet look of the broken up spacing, as well as kind of keeping my circles evenly spaced throughout. So I'm actually going to start with my first dot of the poppet. And so you just use these arrows here to shrink or expand the size. So you just kind of play with it, see how it fits on here. If your dot or whatever image you're trying to look at is ever hidden, you can actually right click on it and send it to front, or even click on the larger image, right click and send it to back. But since this one's already furthest in the back, I don't have that option now. So sometimes you'll have to play with both of those throughout the time, but just kind of place the circle where you want it as far as the poppet icon is located. And play with the size. For this, I really like this size with the shape of the head. So I am going to click on the circle and hold Control down on my keyboard to also select the unicorn, because again, you can only do 2 layers at a time, so I would not be able to select and basically lay this whole thing out and cut it all at once. Each icon over on the right hand side is considered a layer, so you want to make sure you only have 2 selected. Once I have these 2 selected, there's 2 ways you can do the slice functionality. Out of habit, I just right click on the image and hit slice. But sometimes things will come ungrouped if I do it this way. So you also have the option down at the very bottom. There's a slice option. So I'm going to go ahead and click slice. It'll take a second. You'll see it flash on the screen. And now I'm going to move the unicorn away. And the hole is up at the top. So now I have the circle that was created through the slice as well as my original one. Now, based off of how much of a perfectionist you are, you can choose to do all the dots. I like to do the lines first. So with that being said, I do come here. I select my equal signs, and then I add another shape. And this one I usually do a square because these lines aren't far enough apart for me to fit those circles in between for the poppet design. So I'm going to do a second slice, and you can just click the lock button here to unlock your square so that you can kind of shape it however you need to. There is a rectangle one, but I always forget about that one because that was just recently added. I'm used to having to do a square and create it myself. Okay, so again, you can just click and highlight the two options, or if there's things close together, you can always just select over here on your right hand side. So I'm going to slice this one as well to separate those lines. So again, I tend to right click and do slice, but you can always use the slice down at the bottom. So I'm going to click slice here. Again, you'll see it flash, and now these are all separate. So I now have this one, which I'll go ahead and delete. But I do have these three different bars. From here, I'm going to go ahead and unlock one of them. And then this way I can pull it out as long as I need it to be and make it as thin as I need it to be. And once I get the desired thickness, I'll go ahead and lock it again just so I don't mess anything while I'm moving it around. And then come up here and line it up. Okay, so I'm going to click on the line, and I'm going to hold Control down on my keyboard to select the unicorn icon as well. So and see it deselected. So I'm just going to go ahead and click here then, Control on my keyboard, and slice result from the unicorn as well. Once I do that, again, I have two selected. I'm going to go ahead and slice again. Now, you will have to keep recreating those lines because once you slice them, they do separate and kind of break up. So now I'm just going to select all of this by highlighting it and delete it. Okay, so now I have the first section or the first row of my poppet. Then from here, so this is where the image goes behind. So I can just click on the unicorn and go send it to back. That way, whatever I do, it's coming on top of the unicorn. Okay. And then I just duplicate these so that they're all the same size. And then I will lay them out. Okay, and this is where it becomes kind of a pain because again, you can only select two options at once to slice. So you're going to click on your unicorn and then slice for your circle. Okay. So now this is the one that's sliced, which means I will have I'm going to go ahead and click the dot over here because I know it's the black dot that I don't want. So I'm going to delete that. That's why I also like to have my shapes different colors because it's easier to identify over here. So you can even change these to a brighter color so it's easier for you to identify which piece you're working with over here. And you can select multiples and change those colors. It doesn't actually affect anything as far as the coloring of what your print or anything is going to be later. It just helps kind of keep things organized. So again, I'm going to select my unicorn and send it to the back. That way all my pieces are right here. Okay. So again, I'm going to select the unicorn, hold Control down on my keyboard so that I can select multiple pieces at once. Select my next dot and slice. And just keep going. Okay, and then each of my dots are going. I'll line it back up here. Okay, so now I have my second row. And you can even change each of these circles to be different colors so it's easier to identify which circle you're working with on the right hand side. Then I'm going to come back here, unlock this, and I usually lay it within the previous line to make sure that I have it measured out. You can always plan ahead and just duplicate them. I just forget to do that sometimes. But this way they are all the same size, so you can just select on your bar, duplicate. And then same thing, you can make these different colors if you want so that you know which one you're working with at that time. So now I'm going to take my bar and go right below that set. Since I clicked on it already, that one's already selected. So again, just Control on the keyboard, select the unicorn and slice. Okay, and now I have my second full row of my poppet done. And then you'll just continue this obviously all the way down through the remainder of the icon and add as many rows as you want. I usually pull up a picture for reference, but this is going to be the longest way to do it because you're doing each thing by hand. One of the easier ways to do it, if you feel more comfortable, is pulling up your web browser. I usually use Google Chrome, and then just Google for unicorn poppet coloring page or whatever you're looking for. But I typically search for either black and white clip art or coloring pages just because those come in black and white. So it's easier if I were to upload that image to the design space to be able to pick out what I want as my empty space versus what I want as my actual vinyl cut. And this will work with either vinyl or heat transfer vinyl. There's all sorts of free ones on here, so whichever poppet you like the design of best. If you want a full unicorn, you can find one that's just the unicorn head. But again, just trying to find something that's black and white. So let's go, we'll just do the heart one because that one's kind of simple. So I'm going to go ahead and save the image. Go to my Cricut folder. For this one, I'll just do heart poppet. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and remove this so I can show the simple way. So again, you're just going to come to that upload image. And I'm going to do this kind of fast because I will have a separate video for this. Okay, so if you do it as the coloring page, then at that point it is all ready to cut, and all you have to do is just size it to how you want. So again, it just depends on how custom you want it. Obviously, these are a little more like hand drawings rather than more resembling to the poppets. So it depends on how perfect you want those shapes to be. But those are the two ways that you can do that, and then from there, you'll obviously go to your Make It and select your vinyl type that you're using. If you are doing heat transfer, you want to make sure that you flip the image so that it sits how you want it to once it's cut out. But that is going to be it. Thank you so much for joining us today at Tulip's DIY Treasures. We hope this video was helpful, and if it was, please go ahead and like below, as well as subscribe to our page. We will continue to be posting more DIY and helpful tips on using the Cricut Design Space, so come check us out. We'll be posting new videos every week. Let us know in the comments below what types of videos you'd like to see or any topics you would like us to cover here at Tulip's DIY Treasures. Thanks again for joining.